grandfather was reading a story and listening to Uncle Bill and old man talk about him. He was one of those leaders within our community that really and truly pushed the barrel of, I want to achieve things for myself and I want my kids to achieve those things too. At times, Grandfather Yarry, committed to his family, put him at odds with the church at Coniba. Through the Lutheran Church, there was restrictions at Coniba. And Grandfather saw the restrictions holding him back and holding his kids back from furthering their education. Even though Grandfather Harry loved to work and needed to work on those farms, he wanted to put his kids in the Ceduna area school. He wanted to better his kids and better his kids' education. But when he arrived in Ceduna, he found the assimilation policy of keeping the Aboriginal kids out of the Ceduna area school. There was a conflict between the school council, the Aboriginal board, and Grandfather. They didn't want black kids at the Ceduna area school, and it was hard for grandfathers, my uncles and aunties to attend school. But my grandfather and his family did what they always did. They led by example. One of my aunties then became a tutor and tutored the kids at Yarralina, Duck Pond it used to be called then. And every one of those kids became very well-respected elders within our community. The men in the family, Grandfather, Yarry, and especially my dad Herbert, who worked from sun up to sundown. They used to tell him that he had a couple of axe handles across the shoulders, so he was a fairly muscly bloke. He used to lump wheat, shear sheep, pick stumps, so cleaning paddocks. So he was the father that really I looked up to. He was a man that there's no nonsense from visitors or his kids. His kids stepped out of line and he'll pull them up, Just like his dad, my dad loved his family, but life wasn't easy back then. They grew us up at a Duck Pond. I remember we were south of Duck Pond, about a mile and a half. There's a well the soak that they dug years ago. And every 6 months, we'd have to go down and clean that well out. All the moving around was really hard on Mum. She's been taken away from her family at an early age, but worked really, really hard to keep us focused and keep us all together. Every 3 months we'd sort of move from one well to the other and have the water coming. So we'd wash our clothes, we'd have a bath, all with the well water. And when we're carting water from there, it was 2 buckets, every day, every morning, every night. And there would have been four or five of us walking down. So Mum had enough water during the day to cook and wash, All the hard work kept Dad going while he was fighting for Australia and was present at Darwin when Darwin was bombed and then fought through Papua New Guinea and the islands. When he came back from the war, he went to Coniba Football Club again, and it was his time there at Coniba that brought the team together. And he was one of those fellows that was a brilliant leader and a leader of people, not a leader of men, but a leader of people. And he had the whole community behind him, and that in itself became the way that man was, and I just admired him. Dad told us what it took to be a success, And when the Coniba football team got the wooden spoon, I stepped in as senior coach. Well, I brought discipline into the side. I brought respect into the side. And I told the boys, I said, from this team you play football. You don't go out there and be pretty boys. You're out there to play football. I said, because the community is beyond you. So, but if you don't want to play football, let's give you fellas an option. I want you that don't want to give me 100% or 110%, sign a clearance. Because I don't need you here, and the community don't need you. There was not one that walked away from my side. We turned the playing team around. We got fitter, we got faster, and they was more hungry. So the first game that you play, you've got to beat them. Because if you lose, you're going to continue to lose. The first team that we played, we beat them by 10 goals. Then we kept on beating them at our opponents by 6 or 7 goals in every game. So it was that turning point of fitness, respect, dedication, and mateship that really brought that team together. And that's how I turned that team around when we went through undefeated. The following year, and the newfound team spirit and form took the Cuniba Football Club to the state championships. They play in the Aboriginal Carnival, based that played against all Aboriginal communities throughout South Australia, from down Rakan, but it was Murray Bridge at that time, Adelaide teams, Point Piers, Port Augusta, Port Lincoln, Coopiti, and we played here in Ceduna. We went through that and we won the carnival. My father's lessons, his emphasis on hard work, took me from Cuniba to the national stage. After winning the carnival, I was then placed in charge of the South Australian side. And we played at the Elizabeth Oval against Victoria, who was a hard side, and the Northern Territory, who came down and really wanted to show their boys off. The players that I had on that day that my selectors has picked, haven't seen them before, but the way that the boys have moulded together on that particular weekend, we beat Victoria by 24 goals. We beat the Northern Territory by 22 goals. And it was that commitment and the power of those boys that really shone that day, and my leadership that really pushed everyone to the limit. And I kept them running all day. You know, after that, that particular win, the South Australian Aboriginal Football Committee, then appointed me All-Australian coach. Some people say us Millers are sports mad. Well, it's not a bad thing, is it? Got a grandson in Adelaide. He's working, but when he's playing football, he gets paid to play football. And he's, this year, he's been asked to train with Norwood. So I'm looking forward for his first game, because I want to be down there. I want to see that. I want to see that first game. I want to be there in support of him. When you support your kids at local sports, you're supporting the future role models of this town. Eddie Betts is a nephew of mine. So you got Eddie Betts now playing for the Crows. Graham Johncock playing for the Crows. That was my nephew.
Really?
You know, Daniel Wells at North Melbourne, my nephew. The players that came from here with the background and their focus on what grandfather Yarry Miller did back then in making sure that they was educated. His kids was educated. Those kids didn't put education into their kids and their grandkids. And the achievements that has happened is for everybody to see. You know, I look at what's happening down on the eastern states and how they jump up and down and talk about Aboriginal issues. Yes, understand that. Respect where you come from. Don't forget that. Don't forget your culture, but you're living today. Your employment is today. Your education is today. Not one of us is going to walk backwards in life. Accept what happened in the past. Yeah? Accept your culture. But look towards the future, because it's your future that will determine how you're going to live and how your kids are going to live. And that's what grandfather was fighting for, you know. And he fought hard on those lines, because it was important for him to do that. Because what was happening at Kuniba was also happening here in Ceduna. And if we turn the clock from 1942 to 2014, we see the same thing happening again. And that, my friend, you know, the battle that he had back then is what we're having here today.